Starting off this list in our number 10 spot, we have 1997XF11. We all know, or at least have heard, that the dinosaurs were wiped out by an asteroid hitting Earth. If an asteroid were to hit Earth now, there is a good chance it would have a similar effect, but of course on humans. There have been dozens of asteroids that have nearly missed Earth, and a lot of them have been known and had their paths calculated beforehand to ensure our safety. But there have also been a lot of near misses that weren't seen until right before, or sometimes even after the asteroid had already passed. There were 5 near misses in 2020 alone. In 2028, this asteroid is going to come extremely close to hitting Earth, but as of right now, scientists believe that it will miss the planet. If this asteroid were to hit Earth, it would be a mile-wide asteroid hitting Earth at about 30,000 miles per hour, which is similar to a 1 million megaton bomb, which would most likely wipe out all of the life on Earth. So let's hope that doesn't happen, or maybe Elon Musk will be able to send us to Mars by 2028. In our number 9 spot today, we have 2022 AE1. Earlier this year, in January, as the year began, scientists were watching an asteroid dubbed 2022 AE1 that became the riskiest one observed in over a decade. The initial observations of this asteroid placed it impacting with Earth on roughly July 4th, 2023, which would mean that there would not be enough time to deflect it, and this asteroid was large enough to do some real damage should it strike an area. Yeah, it was most definitely a cause for concern. There was a week where the moon outshone this asteroid and experts weren't able to see it and continue tracking its path, but once the moon was out of this phase, the risk seemed to have diminished. As of now, this asteroid has been taken off the risk list, but who knows? It seems as though things can change quite quickly and unexpectedly outside of the cozy home and protection of our atmosphere. In our number 8 spot today, we have 99942 Apophis. This little asteroid has a diameter of about 1/5 of a mile, and it is currently sitting at number 3 on the Palermo scale. This is something that I'll probably refer to again today, so let's just talk about it real quick. The Palermo Technical Impact Scale is a scale that is used by astronomers to rate the potential risk and hazard of impact of a near-Earth object, or an NEO. It used the combined information and data of the probability of impact coupled with the estimated kinetic yield, which basically just shows us how likely and how badly an asteroid would mess us up, re the dinosaurs. So back to Apophis, this asteroid is at rank number 3, so it's the 3rd thing we gotta worry about. When it was discovered in 2004, astronomers gave it a 1 in 60 chance of striking Earth in May of 2029 on Friday the 13th of all days. If it doesn't strike Earth, with the naked eye we'll be able to see it pass at a distance of roughly 8,600 miles, but if it does strike Earth, we'll also be able to see it with the naked eye, just at a much closer distance. Because of how close this passing asteroid is going to be, if the asteroid passes us at a slightly different angle than current predictions, that is the possibility of a collision in 2036 or 2069. In our number 7 spot today, we have 2020 CD3. In February of 2020, astronomers found this asteroid, which is a tiny near-Earth asteroid or mini-moon that orbits the sun, but it does make really close approaches to our Earth-Moon system, and it can even temporarily enter Earth's orbit. It is the 2nd temporary satellite of Earth discovered in situ. Based on its trajectory, this asteroid was captured by Earth around 2016 or 2017, but it likely escaped the gravitational influence of Earth around May of 2020. Even the asteroid didn't want to stick around for the pandemic. 2020 CD3 is likely to make another close pass at Earth in 2044, but it hopefully won't be captured by Earth this time because of its greater approach distance. While this little thing is flying through space and it makes its nice little frequent visits to us, the good news is that it is relatively small in terms of asteroids, so it's not likely an imminent threat to humanity. In our number 6 spot today, we have 153814 2001 WN5. This asteroid is classified as a small asteroid, but that does not mean that this thing is completely harmless. This asteroid has an orbit that passes that of Earth's, making it a near-Earth asteroid, but it is also a potentially hazardous one because of how close it can get. This asteroid orbits the Sun every 818 days or 2.24 years, and it gets as far away from the Sun as 2.51 astronomical units. Like I mentioned, this guy's classified as a small asteroid, but with a diameter of 0.9 kilometers, it is larger than about 97% 10% of other small asteroids. It is said to be about the size of the Golden Gate Bridge, which is just absolutely insane to think about. The pass by the Earth that this asteroid is going to make that is the most concerning to scientists is going to happen on June 26th, 2028. Right now it is projected to be passing by at a distance of 248,700 kilometers, but when we're talking about a flying space object, that's getting a little too close for comfort. It is said that during this close approach, the asteroid will be visible with just binoculars. In our number 5 spot today, we have 2008 DB. This is an asteroid that is said to be about the size of a school bus, and its orbit is one that crosses the orbit of Earth. This asteroid is definitely classified as being near Earth because of the fact that it is less than 1 astronomical unit away from Earth upon its closest approaches. This asteroid orbits the Sun, and it does so in a little longer than an Earth year, about every 395 days, so 1.08 years. One thing I found really interesting about this asteroid is that the way they were able to estimate its size was by how bright it is and how this asteroid reflects light. Science is just so fascinating. It is said that 2008 DB has 9 close approaches to Earth in the coming decades, so fingers crossed all goes well. In our number 4 spot today, we have 2014 HB177. This asteroid is quite similar to the last one. It is also around the size of a school bus, and it is an asteroid that is near Earth and often crosses with our orbit. This near Earth asteroid actually had a relatively close pass by Earth just last year in 2021 when it came within 10 million kilometers of Earth. That sounds like a lot, but in space terms, it's really not that much. This asteroid orbits the Sun about every 430 days or 1.18 years, but it rotates on its own axis quite quickly, completing a rotation every 0.02 hours. The next close approach of this asteroid to Earth is coming on May 6th, 2034, when this asteroid will be 514,556 kilometers away from Earth, but it doesn't stop here. There are 7 upcoming dates, some of which are in our lifetime, that have been assessed as having an impact risk in these very close approach scenarios. The most risky right now is dated as May 3rd, 2085. In our number 3 spot today, we have 2010 RF12. This asteroid is one that orbits the Sun every 399 days or 1.09 years, and at its closest point, its orbit is startlingly close to Earth's. When this asteroid was first observed, it was actually thought to have the highest probability of striking Earth, but thankfully that number has since dropped in the last few years. Just recently, however, this asteroid had one close approach with Earth, passing at a distance of a little over 10 million kilometers. From now until 2095, there is thought to be 13 upcoming close approaches, with the final one being at the very small distance of 47,000 kilometers. Thankfully, the good news is that this asteroid is on the smaller size when it comes to asteroids, which means that should something go awry and this asteroid were to impact Earth, it likely wouldn't be the Earth-shattering, humanity-destroying asteroid that we all fear. In our number 2 spot today, we have 101955 Bennu. This asteroid was first discovered on September 11th, 1999, and it is a potentially hazardous object to us here on Earth. There is currently a 1 in 1,800 chance that this asteroid is going to impact Earth between 2178 and 2290. I know that's not really in our lifetime, but it's not very far off, and that's kind of frightening. The day that this asteroid has the greatest chance of impacting Earth is on September 24th, 2182. This asteroid was actually named after the ancient Egyptian mythological bird that is often associated with the sun, creation, and rebirth. We know more about this asteroid than many others because there was actually a mission to this asteroid in order to try and collect samples of it. On the 3rd of December 2008, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft reached this asteroid after traveling to it for 2 years. Not only did it orbit it for a while to map it out and get its measurements, but in 2020 it landed on the asteroid, and last year in May of 2021 it departed from the asteroid carrying a sample of it. Maybe next year it will return to Earth and help us learn even more about the history of this asteroid. In our number 1 spot today, we have 2021 QM1. This asteroid was first discovered on August 28th, 2021, and at the time of its discovery it wasn't of much concern, but follow-up observations revealed something very different. It suddenly rang alarm bells that it might be on a path to a near miss with Earth around 2052. This asteroid is measured at about 50 meters in diameter, which is said to, should it impact Earth, be the equivalent of about 6 megatons of TNT or 400 times the strength of a nuclear bomb. Just not very good and very obviously of concern. To make all the nervous scientists more nervous, shortly after discovery, this asteroid disappeared behind the sun out of their view. They waited patiently and used the very large telescope as much as they could, and when the asteroid peeked out from behind the sun, they were ready, and it was then that they managed to capture an image of the faintest asteroid ever observed. This observation thankfully gave them some good news. This asteroid likely won't hit Earth in 2052, and for now, for the foreseeable future, it shouldn't be on a collision course with Earth. They of course are going to continue observing it though and checking in, just to make sure that continues to be the case.
Number 10. In Doctor Who, Season 1, the Doctor takes Rose Tyler to see the destruction of the Earth in 5 billion years. However, researchers working with NASA think that the world will actually end in 1 billion years, so 4 billion years less. This will be due to our ever-expanding sun, which will burn off all of the oxygen on our planet, essentially turning into a little fireball before it's consumed. The sun will most likely expand into a red dwarf and literally eat us. Hopefully by then we will have expanded into the universe and inhabited other planets, and you know, like Firefly. It would be awesome if that was real. However, we might destroy ourselves before the sun even has a chance to. So although it is inevitable that the sun will eat us for lunch, what we are doing now might beat it to the punch if we don't do something about it. Number 9. Wandering black holes. Black holes that move? No thank you. They can stay right where they are, except for some of them can't. Scientists always suspected that black holes could travel, but they just haven't found one until March 2020, that is. Yay! Researchers at the Center of Astrophysics Harvard-Smithsonian finally found a concrete specimen. At the center of a galaxy 230 million light years away is a wandering black hole. It has a mass of 3 million times that of our sun, and it is moving at 110,000 miles per hour. Black holes, due to their sheer mass, are usually just too heavy to get any kind of traction. Imagine kicking a bowling ball versus a soccer ball. Bowling ball is the black hole. But scientists think that it may have gotten its start due to a collision, therefore meaning that it could be part of a pair. So where's the other one? Could it be heading straight for us, ready to suck future generations into oblivion? I guess we will never find out, but they will, so good luck guys. Number 8. Satellite Demolition Derby. I feel like we practically just started going to space. It's only been since the 60s, like 6 decades, like that's insane. Which is why this number blows my mind. In space right now, orbiting our planet are tens of thousands of pieces of space junk, even millions. There are 2,000 active satellites and 3,000 dead ones just like chilling up there. Now that may not sound like too much of a problem, but it really could be. If they started hitting each other, the results would be disastrous. NASA scientist Donald Kessler in the 1970s proposed that if there was too much space junk in orbit, that a chain reaction could occur. As the junk collides with each other, it could cause even more space junk, making Earth's orbit entirely unusable. As you can gather, this would potentially be catastrophic. For companies like SpaceX, who plan on launching 50,000 satellites for global internet coverage, more obstacle avoidance procedures need to be put in place before that happens. Otherwise, I don't know, I don't want to think about it. It could get really bad. Number 7. Aliens. The wonderful late Stephen Hawking proposed that aliens could be dangerous for us to interact with. If you haven't seen Into the Universe with Stephen Hawking, you should. It's great. I love it. I put it on in the background all the time. He states that not only do intelligent life forms definitely exist, just probability wise, he does warn that interacting with them could be really dangerous. Quote, "We only have to look at ourselves to see how intelligent life might develop into something we wouldn't want to meet." Unquote. First and foremost, if they actually made it here, then they have technology far beyond our understanding yet. That kind of technology would be pretty intimidating, and consider how well we humans have dealt with meeting new people in the past. Answer, not good. But who's to say these intelligent aliens might not also be looking to colonize and conquer? We could be to them what the Mayans were to Cortez. If it's the other way around and we end up seeking them out first, who's to say history wouldn't repeat itself? You know, especially if we're looking for a new place to live. Ugh. Number 6. Wandering stars. The entire universe is continuing to expand, so that means that everything is constantly moving and could eventually tear apart. But anyways, even our sun is moving. But in relation to us, it isn't moving. However, there are stars that do. They are called wandering stars, and there is one in the Milky Way. What makes this one so dangerous is that it could get so close to our sun that it disturbs the Oort cloud. This cloud at the edge of the solar system is composed of comets, which would come hurtling at us if something were to hit it. Therefore, not a pleasant thing to think about. As we will discuss later, asteroids will not be kind to Earth. Now imagine thousands all at once. Currently though, we are in a region of less dense interstellar gas. Additionally, the wind and solar magnetic field protect us from interacting with the stellar medium. We will probably move out of this in the next 20,000 to 50,000 years, meaning more dangers will come our way. So basically, our sun protects us until something messes with that. Hence, wandering stars are the worst. I won't be around to see that, hopefully not anyways, and you won't me either, but somebody will be, and I hope they don't get to see it either. Number 5, supernova. What is a supernova? Well, it's essentially when a star of immense size explodes. Is this potentially deadly? Absolutely. Our sun is expected to die eventually, but probably not for, a billion years as previously mentioned. But what will happen when it does? Well, the entire Earth would burn up essentially as previously mentioned. It would be 15 times hotter than the surface of the sun, but that's not going to happen for a while yet. However, if a supernova occurred some 30 light years away, this could have detrimental effects on Earth now. Possibly mass extinctions, destruction of the ozone layer, therefore leaving Earth vulnerable to solar rays, which would kill us all. The oxygen and nitrogen in the atmosphere could also ionize, meaning our atmosphere would turn into a kind of thick smog. Not a good time, and doesn't sound very good. I don't want to be there. Number 4, gamma ray bursts. Okay, so we just talked about how scary supernovas are. Well, get ready for gamma rays. It's a death ray from space. They are the most extreme explosions in the universe, like a supernova. It's crazy enough to think that our sun could explode within seconds, not anytime soon, but imagine a star several times the mass of ours collapsing into a black hole. This could turn into a gamma ray burst. Essentially, twin beams blast out light so bright that we can see them from Earth, even if they are billions of light years away. So it's like a black hole's in the center and two lasers. If you think that's crazy, check out this fact. A gamma ray burst can release more energy than the sun will emit in its entire lifetime. What does that mean? It means death for any planet, asteroid, or spaceman in its way. It's literally like the universe made a lightsaber. Some scientists think that these gamma rays are one of the reasons for the mass extinctions on Earth. Let's hope that's not the case in future. Number 3, solar flares. Okay, so even if you're someone who condemns cell phones and says that the internet is killing our brains, yada yada yada, much of your life still depends on technology. Many people worry that a killer solar flare could destroy our planet, but that's not actually possible. But what is possible is a complete and total blackout. While the heat of a flare can't make it to Earth, electromagnetic radiation and energetic particles can. They can and have messed with the upper atmosphere and disrupted signal transmissions. But that's tame compared to what else could happen. Should a coronal mass ejection, a CME, hit Earth, it's game over for Insta. I will never see you again. Bye bye YouTube. They propel electromagnetic fluctuations that could fry ground level power grids, causing a total worldwide blackout. The largest geomagnetic storm caused by this ever recorded was in 1859. Telegraph networks around the globe failed, operators were shocked, and telegraph paper caught on fire. If we have a storm anything close to that, it could be catastrophic. Number 2, an asteroid. Of course. Ever seen Deep Impact or Armageddon? I have seen both, each only once because they terrified me so much. All throughout our galaxy, throughout the universe, there are wandering massive rocks drifting through space. Some are as large as whole provinces, even countries. At this moment, there are currently 20,000 asteroids in our galaxy that could pose a threat. Now, I assume that scientists actually have a plan for if one starts barreling for us, but it would be incredibly hard to stop regardless. The White House Office of Science and Technology Policy released a report on June 20th in 2018 that detailed the steps NASA and FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, will take to prevent asteroids from striking Earth and prepare the US for the consequences of the event. Side note, I love how Canada always dies in every disaster movie ever. The day after tomorrow, nobody cares about them. We're probably fine though. Anyways, that was a side note, side tangent. Anyways, the US, they are planning ways on deflecting them, as well as developing technology that better predicts the probability that ones will hit. So, maybe we won't be able to stop them, but we'll know they're coming, so I guess we can say goodbye to our loved ones. And last but not least, interstellar clouds. Imagine one day looking up into the sky and not seeing any stars. Or very few at least. Then another night you look into your telescope and you can no longer see Jupiter. The next morning there's a murky darkness over the sky. You realize that no, this isn't a sci-fi nightmare or an episode of Doctor Who. There's no one to save us. What I'm talking about is an interstellar dust cloud that is capable of destroying the Earth. But don't worry, as terrifying as that intro was, we probably won't be alive to see it. Maybe no one will be, who knows. This event will probably happen in a few millennia, but eventually Earth will come in contact with a cloud 1,000 times denser than space. Imagine going from swimming in a pool to swimming in a pile of jello. Yeah. Dust and gas will penetrate our atmosphere and eat away the oxygen. Our planet will then be left vulnerable to solar wind that will come in and tear apart the molecules of life. Something I'm glad I will not be there to see.
Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the missile test. I personally subscribe to the idea that there probably aren't any areas of space that would be a good place to blow something up, but apparently, really recently, Russia chose a really bad one. On November 15th, just weeks ago, a missile test occurred just a short 300 miles above Earth, and when the 4,850-pound satellite exploded, it created a cloud of fragments that set off the emergency response on the International Space Station, which was a little too close for comfort. Like, man, there are people on there who are just trying to like grow a pepper and prove the Earth is round and stuff. The astronauts aboard awoke from their sleep to probably the most frightening alarm they've ever heard in their lives and had to prepare to possibly and quickly evacuate the space outpost. Luckily they are all fine, but the explosion created a ton of orbital debris now that we are going to see the consequences of for the next few decades. We add more debris into the already crowded orbit of Earth faster than we clear it up, which creates problems for future spacecrafts and creates more potential collisions that need to be avoided at all costs. In our number 9 spot today we have 99942 Apophis. This little asteroid has a diameter of about 1/5 of a mile and it is currently sitting at number 3 on the Palermo scale. This is something I'll refer to again today, so let's just talk about it real quick. The Palermo Technical Impact Scale is a scale that is used by astronomers to rate the potential risk and hazard of impact of a near-Earth object, or an NEO. It used the combined information and data of the probability of impact coupled with the estimated kinetic yield, which basically just shows us how likely and how badly an asteroid would mess us up, re the dinosaurs. So, back to Apophis. This asteroid is at rank number 3, so it's the third thing we gotta worry about. When it was discovered in 2004, astronomers gave it a 1 in 60 chance of striking Earth in May of 2029 on Friday the 13th of all days. If it doesn't strike Earth, with the naked eye we'll be able to see it pass at a distance of roughly 18,600 miles, but if it does strike Earth, we'll also be able to see it with the naked eye, just at a much closer distance. Because of how close this passing asteroid is going to be, if the asteroid passes us at a slightly different angle than current predictions, there is the possibility of collision in 2036 or 2069. In our number 8 spot today we have the Swift-Tuttle Comet. This is obviously a comet, and while it isn't exactly orbiting Earth, it is in an orbit that causes it to make repeated close approaches to both us here on Earth as well as our sweet little moon. Here's the thing, we keep trying to calculate the next passage of the comet. I say we like I'm doing any kind of calculating. Experts keep trying to calculate the next passage of the comet, but it's always off by like 15-ish days. What's also super cool is that the nucleus of this comet is quite large, which is truly concerning for us. That's not the cool part, but when experts realized that, they started looking back through texts and documents of the past to see if this comet had been observed before, and it seems like it had been in 69 BC and 188 AD. That is so cool! The good news is that for now, if all the calculations are correct, we don't have to worry about anything in our lifetime. Sorry to those living in the year 3000 though. In our number 7 spot today we have Envisat. This was a large environmental satellite that was launched by the European Space Agency on March 1st, 2002, and it was the world's largest civilian Earth observation satellite. It lasted for twice its expected life length as it monitored the environmental health of Earth for a decade, but in April of 2012, without any warning, it totally stopped all communications. This means that its status and location are completely unknown. The size of this thing is one of the main concerning points of this, as it is 85 by 32 feet and weighs a common cool 18,000 pounds. Since we don't know where it is and have no control over it, it's simply up to space and the laws of physics now. It is predicted that the uncontrolled descent of the satellite to Earth will likely take place over the next 150 years or so, and it threatens the risk of injury and damage. There's also also a 15 to 30% chance that it'll collide with other space junk and cause a major fragmentation event. In our number 6 spot today we have 29075. Okay, we talked about number 3 on that scale, so are you ready for number 1? On the Palermo scale for the last several years, the asteroid 29075 has been given the highest rating because of its large size, coming in with a diameter about 2/3 of a mile. This would have absolutely devastating effects on the biosphere and climate if it were to strike Earth. Again, the dinosaurs. There's good news about this one though. If it does hit Earth, we'll all be long gone and we will miss it entirely. The chance of an encounter doesn't get too close for comfort until 2880, so for now, we're in the clear. In our lifetime, we only have to worry about, well, a bunch of other things on this list and student debt. In our number 5 spot today we have the Hubble Space Telescope. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990 by NASA in cooperation with the European Space Agency, and together they placed the very first space observatory into orbit. Something that we only dreamed of for hundreds of years finally accomplished. Since 1990, the Hubble has produced over 1.3 million images of the solar system, the stars, and the galaxies. It is one of the most incredible scientific creations in terms of space exploration, and it really set the tone for all of the advancements we've had since. It's been in orbit for a long time, and the 27,000-pound solar-powered observatory is coming close to retirement, and that means that NASA has a couple of options. They can either craft up a controlled return to Earth, they can boost it higher into orbit, or they can try to design a new mission to increase the longevity of the scope. But basically, they need to make their minds up, because the longer it stays in orbit, the more it decays due to Earth's pull. This could have disastrous results, as an uncontrolled re-entry can occur sometime between 2028 and 2030. Imagine, the thing that's helped us so much turns its back on us. And so it begins, the robot takeover. In our number 4 spot today we have 2020 CD3. In February of 2020, astronomers found 2020 CD3, which is a tiny near-Earth asteroid or mini-moon that orbits the Sun, but it does make really close approaches to our Earth-Moon system, and it can even temporarily enter Earth's orbit. It is the second temporary satellite of Earth discovered in situ. Basically, on its trajectory, this asteroid was captured by Earth around 2016 or 2017, but it likely escaped the gravitational influence of Earth around May 2020. Even the asteroid didn't want to stick around for the pandemic. 2020 CD3 is likely to make another close pass at Earth in 2044, but it hopefully won't be captured by Earth this time because of its greater approach distance. While this little thing is flying through space and makes its nice little frequent visits to us, the good news is that it is relatively small in terms of asteroids, so it's not like an imminent threat to humanity yet. In our number 3 spot today we have Cosmos 1818. Despite the name, this was a nuclear spy satellite that was launched by the Soviet Union in 1987. By this time there was already another nuclear satellite that had fallen out of orbit and left a trail of radioactive debris over Canada, but we said, what the hell, the Canadians began apologizing to us for some reason, so let's just try it again. The Soviet Union launched Cosmos 1818 into higher orbit than the previous one to try and avoid another similar situation, but in 2008 that proved to not work at all when the satellite began breaking down and leaking what is thought to be coolant. The breakdown is thought to have occurred from either some kind of a collision or simply just a system failure. According to Russian sources, at the moment the satellite is expected to simply burn up in the atmosphere of Earth when it leaves orbit in 2045, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little suspicious about this. It seems like it can't just be that simple, but hey, I'm not Bill Nye, so what do I know? In our number 2 spot today we have SNAP 10A. This nuclear fission satellite was the first nuclear reactor placed into orbit, and it was part of a project that the US government was conducting where they were experimenting with power production in space. The SNAP stands for System for Nuclear Auxiliary Power. The satellite was launched in 1965 but was less than successful when it performed for merely 43 days before quitting out because of an electric system failure. So here's where things get a little concerning. The satellite is still currently in orbit, and it's expected to stay there for the next 3,000 years, which is great and happy and exciting unless you're trying to travel through its orbit. But since none of us are astronauts and don't have that problem, we're good unless it collides with something else, which it is very vulnerable to do. This would potentially cause nuclear radiation to be released. Yeah, I mean, have you heard of Chernobyl? In our number 1 spot today we have SL-16RB. That probably sounds like a name I just made up, but this is the name of a bunch of rocket boosters that are currently in the orbit of Earth. Most of them were launched by Russia and the Soviet Union between 1989 and 2000. 2007, and each booster weighs 9,000 kilograms and orbits at an altitude of 800 kilometers. Here's where this all becomes an issue though. There's 20 of these things in orbit, and should 2 of them collide, well, the resulting debris would be absolutely catastrophic. 2 9,000 kilogram objects colliding would double the low Earth orbit debris, and as we already know, the amount we already have is a huge problem. Right now these boosters are all orbiting together in clusters, but it's really a roll of the dice each year. The probability of collision goes up. So yeah, things we don't normally talk about are actually pretty terrifying.